There's quite a lot of hate on him, so what good did he do for the show? Guys, welcome back to New Who HQ. I am Matt. Today I'm going to be speaking about the reasons on why I think this man, the showrunner for Jodie Whittaker's era, Chris Chibnall, did right. I like some of the things he did despite it not being one of my favourite eras by any means, and I'm not here to say I absolutely love Chris Chibnall, but I feel like we sometimes overlook what good he did for the show and what he tried, which was different, which I love. I love someone that tries different things, who has the risks, who will do, who will do it. And he had a few bits of that. So firstly, before I start the video, I do definitely think that Chris Chibnall should not return as showrunner ever, because apparently our Doctor Who likes to have returning showrunners. That doesn't mean that I wouldn't mind him coming back to write an episode, because I think before he was showrunner, episodes like 42 and The Power of Three were not bad. I think The Power of Three is actually massively underrated. Not much happens in it. People say it's quite boring. I generally have quite a lot of fun with it. And 42, fair enough, but it's not bad by any means. But when you're a showrunner, it's very different. You have more episodes to write. The whole look of the show is yours. And I want to go through the stuff that I think he did pretty well with it. And I think the first main thing is his first series, Series 11, he tried something very, very different. If I'm correct in saying, no villain returned in Series 11. It was all fresh. I could very much be wrong, but I think if not, it's pretty much every villain was brand new to the show. And Doctor Who is a new show, and I feel like with Russell and Moffat, they were very good. Especially Moffat was, known for sort of using things that have already been used by, Russell, etc. Which he did it in his own original way. And this is not me slating Moffat. I think Moffat's a much better writer than Chibnall, to be honest with you. But there were still some similarities there. And Chibnall brought back Doctor Who, didn't bring it back, but he brought Doctor Who into a new feel. If that was just the general camera work, for example, feeling newer. I like that a lot of it was filmed in Sheffield and not in London, so we're using different parts of the, of the UK, so the landscape looked different. So it was just little tweaks like that, which I quite liked. And, his style, the sort of directing, it felt very, very fresh, which I quite liked. The ideas were fresh with the villains, etc. And I really, really like that. I think there's a lot of hate coming into this era because of the first woman being cast as the Doctor. So Chibnall already had sort of haters for casting Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, because there are still some people apparently which get annoyed at a woman being in a main role. I just don't understand it, nor am I going to talk about it, because I don't want to waste my breath on silly little people like that. I think one thing which I was nervous before, when it was announced, before I even watched it in action, and I was right, I didn't like it, was the three companions, Yaz, Graham and Ryan. I'm not saying them three companions, it could be any three. If you put Rose, Martha and Donna, who are three very good companions, together, I think over a course of a series and you just met them, it would not work, because their iconic moments that they have with the Doctor, or just on their own where they shine as a character, comes from them being on their own and they actually have time to develop. You don't get that at all with any of the companions. Yaz stays the longest, so she gets the most time. Graham is just basically there for the laughs, he's there for the comedy, and he does offer up some good laughs. But Ryan was probably the biggest disappointment of a companion for me, and with someone with dyspraxia, it's a little bit sad to say that, because that's probably the most relatable character on the screen. But we did get a little bit of story. I mean, the opening episode shows about his problems with riding a bike, and I do, that's good to shine light on that sort of topic. But then in this clip, yeah, Chibnall, you just completely ruined his whole development, his whole story with having dyspraxia in that one clip, because I'm telling you now, that is the most unrealistic thing ever. Like, I know Doctor Who's unrealistic because it's about someone that travels in space and time, but if you're going to use a real life thing that a lot of people struggle with, to add it to a character and make it basically the whole personality, and then you go and do that, then you're not a very good writer for characters. The TARDIS felt very, very clogged up, and I think I mean, they all brought stuff to the episode. I've just said the 3 things that they bring. I mean, Yaz obviously was a love interest for the Doctor, so they all bring very different things. And Dan comes in later on, and he's not in for very long. I'm not that bothered about this. This is the the first 3 companions that we get alongside Whittaker. But also, it's not just about character development with the side characters which have been affected. It's Jodie Whittaker as well. I feel like we truly never did get her side of the Doctor. I thought her introduction was very, very well written by Chibnall. I sort of understood the way she was. It was just maybe her feelings, maybe how she interacted with people, then long conversations, them things where you get what this type of Doctor is like more deeply. And I feel like, I'm not saying we didn't have any of that, but there was a lot less of it to what we have from past people because there simply wasn't really enough time. But overall, Series 11 really liked. Series 12, we saw Chibnall bring in a few more people that already know, with the Daleks, the Cyberman, changing them around a little bit with new designs, different concepts, but also the Master as well with Sacha Dhawan, a fresh, brand new incarnation. So you had that, or again, that freshness while bringing back classic people from, classic villains from old times. So yeah, again, that's done differently there, which I quite like. I think he writes the finale very well. I really like the power of the Doctor. Again, Flux was something very, very different, which I admire him for trying. If that was having in Series 11 where you didn't really have like an overall series arc, if you didn't really have a sort of, a mystery box. In Series 13, the whole thing was a mystery box. It was all one story. Now, there are problems with Flux where I felt like there was too much mystery boxes and too much that Chibnall was trying to give us, that we sort of lost ourselves a little bit. But also, I feel like I think it's something that people will grow to like. And if you can get under your belt everything that he's trying to tell you and everything that's going on, I think it's actually quite an enjoyable watch. And it's something that I will be rewatching again because I want to give it another go. Same with the Timeless Child arc. He did something with Gallifrey. I literally just did a video, or depending on how I schedule things, it might be the next video that's going to be uploaded, about Gallifrey and how messed up the history is and if it should be continued. And Chibnall certainly did something with that. If you think that he messed up even more, that is your opinion, but either way, he did something with it. So I'd like to see him on the show again because he does offer something which I like bits of, but to run the whole show, it gets a little bit too much. Also, bearing in mind that Flux was filming and just generally the whole era was sort of downtrodden by the COVID pandemic, so to produce any television content during that time was very, very hard, and he still managed to bang out, 6 episode series, but it's still a whole series worth of stories during COVID as well, so that's obviously quite impressive. So I know obviously it's not just him, the whole team worked hard for it, but he was the showrunner, he was the head, so credit has got to be given. And his finale as well, I really like the way he writes out Whittaker. It's a very just normal and quite short exit for it, but it felt right for that type of incarnation to do that. Maybe someone that never really did open up much, so she's not going to when it comes to actually ending, and it didn't feel like it was rushed because of how Whittaker was during her tenure. But having the Master come back, having the Fugitive Doctor again, the Fugitive Doctor arc, really like that. That's what Chibnall created. To have that all coming back in the finale, to have all the old companions, the edge of the cliff where the Doctors all came up in their robes, apart from Paul McGann. Love it. I love it. I honestly think Power of the Doctor is one of my favourite episodes because of the absolute massive things that are happening, but it still felt controlled. You could understand what was going on. It was crazy. It was just like Doctor Who that we knew, but Chibnall has his own spin on it. So I feel like Power of the Doctor will hopefully become more and more sort of noticed as one of the best finales ever, and I feel like it kind of shocked people with Chibnall doing it because of how sort of bad his era was. But I mean, this video's not been massively positive on him, but it's kind of just saying that I do think there is good in this era, and I think on a secondary watch there is better things to find and to enjoy, so maybe it's worth giving it a go. But yeah, let me know what you think about this, because tell you now, Russell and Stephen had their own problems in their own right. So I'm not saying that Chibnall, I mean, he is the worst showrunner, but he's not the person that's done all the bad things, because others have done sometimes worse, if not just as bad in different ways. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on the comments, give this video a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Goodbye.